Hi everyone, thank you for joining yet another one of our podcasts here at Menlo Park. This one is obviously part of the Ticket to Australia Illuminating podcast series. Now today we are joined by the amazing Shedrack. He's a UK trained GP who has made the transition from the UK to Canberra in Australian Capital Territory. So I thought it'd be really good to try and get Shedrack on board and just give a real experience of his move, obviously throughout the journey. So today, obviously, very very special one. I've been speaking with Shedrack for an awful long time now. He's actually probably turned into more of a friend. The amount of conversations that we've had and in detail that we've gone to. But Shedrack, it's a pleasure. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Um, you've actually made my journey. You made my journey quite stress-free and a little bit more enjoyable compared to what I've seen and heard online.
Mm.
Yeah, though at some point it was a little bit, kind of ups and downs here and there. But at the end of the day, is worth it. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
generally, my name is Shedrack. I trained in UK. I did my residency in general practice around Doncaster and Bassett Law Trust Foundation. Then I worked a little bit in workshop, did a
Mhm.
couple of locums around Doncaster area. But yeah, after some time, I think I decided it's time for us to seek greener pastures and then probably somewhere that the weather is more accommodating.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I made the journey. So shoot.
Yeah, I know you've. When we first had some of our initial kind of conversations, if you will, Shadrach, there's a few things that we kind of ran through, and we were talking about your motives, and I know that one of them obviously was the financial, which is obvious. The another one
Mhm.
was the weather, but there was also that work life balance. There was just
Yeah.
obviously kind of being tired of the UK NHS. Something that I hear an awful lot about as well. So you had quite a few motivators, didn't you, to obviously make
Yes,
this move?
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Having stayed or kind of worked in the UK for 8 years,
Mm.
few things kind of became so obvious to me. NHS is quite good, and I will always be indebted to NHS. Fact.
Yeah.
I started, kind of understanding what pure medicine or proper medicine is when I started working in NHS. A lot of things I didn't know back home, but immediately I got into NHS, I started learning, kind of relearning what you use or what you have heard and read, things that you were not opportune to kind of practicalized. NHS exposed me to that, gave me the opportunity to go into training. And honestly speaking, GPs trained in the UK, it's like everywhere in the world we are recognized.
Yeah.
The NHS training is a solid one. Most of us coming over to Australia, people going to Canada, I don't think we find it difficult to integrate quickly into the system.
No.
So NHS is solid, but there's a but. There are few loopholes and few issues which almost anybody that works in the NHS, whether you are clinical or non-clinical, you understand these issues. And
Mm.
it stems from, you know, excessive workload. Even
Yeah.
GPs, we it's like some days you feel like the world is going to crash on your head, especially when you're on
Mm.
call. For centers that do on call, the workload is astronomically heavy. Then the pay is not good.
No.
It's not good
No.
compared to our counterparts in other parts of the world, excluding US. When you rank other countries, under other Western countries, like let's say first world countries, UK is probably at the bottom of it in terms of the
Yeah.
pay.
Unfortunately, it's a consistent thing that we hear, and obviously, as you know, I've been doing this for many many years, Shadrach, and it's just one of those things where unfortunately we get the same problems. We hear the same issues, and nothing seems to be changing. Nothing
No,
seems to be changing.
no.
Overworked, and obviously undervalued, but obviously also lack of lack of physical earnings as well. It's actually all falls
Mhm,
into that appreciation side of things. Which,
mhm.
which is sad. which is
Hmm.
sad. And I think obviously it's important for our listeners to know that at the end of the day, this podcast isn't a sales pitch. This isn't a
No,
case
no,
of I
no,
haven't.
no,
We haven't sat here and said, look, we've got to always say good things. At the end of the day, Shedrack could say anything, and
no.
obviously, we're not sugarcoating anything. This is just a real life, obviously, conversation here, and
Let me give
unfortunately,
you
this
an
is
example.
really, yeah,
When I was finishing my training around, yeah, 2020, around 2022s, 23s, all this time,
mm,
normal contracts, if you are signing contracts, most areas, actually, my contract was around 12,000 something per section. That was what I signed. And
wow,
12,000 something. Then I was looking at it and I'm like, can't they just increase it? As I'm
yeah,
talking to you now, I have seen online 9,500 per section,
wow. So it's actually gone
10,000
down.
per section. It's like it is regressing. I mean, the pay is going down. And I'm
That's
asking,
crazy.
inflation from 2022 thereabouts till now, I think, I mean, prices of things have risen like maybe 20, 25%.
Mm,
And the contract is supposed to be matching it.
yeah.
What is going
Yeah.
down?
Well, that's the thing. It's just not conducive, is it? There's with some of these salaries now, working as a doctor in the UK, it's almost not worth it. And it's sad to say that because people go in obviously with the right intentions to go through obviously years and years and years of training to try and
Hmm.
get to this point obviously where what they want to do is obviously just help people, but
Hmm.
then the country, their own country, isn't actually helping them to live. Even
Hmm.
if you've got three kids, is that, and yeah, you're going to struggle.
What are you supposed
It's
to
a
do
shame.
with What are you supposed to do with
Yeah.
9,500, 10,000 per section? What are you supposed to do with that? A friend of mine that finished last year, August,
Mm.
actually my schoolmate back in Nigeria. He called me one day and he told me if someone offers him $500,000 to stay in prison for 3 years, 3 to 5 years, he will take it over being a GP. That
Wow.
is how bad it is. A doctor
Wow.
agreeing to take $500,000 to just go to prison for 5 years
That's scary. But
over being a
that's a
GP.
scary comment, though, isn't it? Really, but it's a real. It's almost like a real comment. Yeah, that's sad. That's
Yeah, it is.
that's sad.
People, I mean, when they finish now, they no longer think about getting any job. The
Mm.
ideal candidate is, can I just start the processing of my papers? Let me just start. Where? Is it Canada? Is it Australia? Do you know the number of people that chat me every day? People that come online, kind of I see people saying, "Oh, I need to get, this, I need to do this, I need to know how the process works. Please, can you help me? Can you explain to me what it takes for APRA,
Mm.
for me to go through this stage of APRA?" I do get people coming around, WhatsApping and the rest of them. That is because nobody wants to stay behind. I mean,
Yeah.
why are you staying behind there? What? For what?
Mm.
What is the
It's
end? You
yeah.
can't even
Yeah.
save. People can't save. Doctors can't save again. It's like
Mm.
hand to mouth, back to hand, to mouth again. And the funny thing is that if you get sick, oh boy, that's a story for another day.
I was going to say, I think, we've certainly, I was going to ask you, obviously, what kind of prompted you to obviously make this move, but I guess obviously, you've kind of gone straight into it and covered it not just for yourself, but obviously for other people that obviously as well, and it is sad. I think the whole market itself, it's sad in the UK. I think the government really needs to obviously look at the number of people that are obviously moving, the number of people that aren't happy, to maybe actually
Mhm.
look at these stats and really do something about it. Not say they're going to do something about it, which is what they're good at doing, but actually do something about it. I know there were so many motives for yourself, and there were so many factors that obviously Australia was drawing to you. But yeah, it's I think it's just sad to hear,
Yeah, yeah,
to
quite
hear
sad.
this. Like I say, I hear it day in day out. But it's always sad when when you do hear these kind of things, and it's scary on where the UK is going to come, or where the UK is going to get to. But I think obviously, we we can probably go on talking about this and make a whole
Yeah,
podcast about obviously why,
yeah.
and we
I
just
I
never
always
start.
I'm always proud of Britain. Let me use the word. I'm always proud of United Kingdom because
Yeah.
I worked in almost all the countries excluding Wales. Yeah, but I'm proud of that place because look, it can be a lot better.
Mm,
That country can be a lot better because
mm,
look, it gave me everything I have today. I will come out and say it clearly. UK gave me everything. It gave me the residency. It gave me a lot. I just wish things could get better. I will return.
yeah.
I'm not writing
Mm,
it off completely. I will return if things get better. But I mean, it's quite a selfish world we live in. If things don't get better, it's difficult.
yeah. No, I think that's a very honest comment. Yeah, I think a lot of our listeners are going to be able to relate to what you've just said there. I wish that things could be better. And yeah, I think there's a lot of people, like I say, that could relate to that. But obviously, Shedrack, kind of moving on to
Mhm.
Australia, shall we
Yeah,
say? Obviously, like I say, you and I obviously started having these conversations an awful long time ago, but back in what 2025. But you actually made the transit. Well, I say 2025. It might have even been sooner, but
2024.
it might have been 2024. I think. Yeah, I was going to say I think it would have been because you actually made the move in October
Yes.
of 2025, so just last year. So been there for a good couple of months. This podcast is one that's been a long time in the making because we wanted you to settle to be able to give that kind of honest overview after spending a good
Hmm.
period of time there. Um,
Hmm.
but let's kind of talk about obviously maybe why you did choose to obviously think about obviously Australia to start with, and more specifically why Canberra. Canberra is one of those
Okay.
places where people haven't maybe heard of. It's the
Hmm.
capital city. It's one of those
Hmm.
pub quiz questions, isn't it? Really, what's the capital
Yeah.
city of Australia? And everyone thinks of Sydney, but in actual
Sydney,
fact,
yeah.
it's Canberra, and it's beautiful,
Canberra,
absolutely beautiful.
yeah. At first, before I made the move, I think I first chatted you up on the 30th of June 2024. I remember clearly
Yeah,
that day. I was just coming back from work and I was thinking in my head, damn, I'm tired. I am tired. I need to move. I'm tired. I need to move.
yeah,
So then I was thinking of Dubai, Ireland, Canada, and Australia. And
yeah,
look, Australia has been painted as somewhere that is very sunny, beachy, all those things. And I'm like, I mean, if I can have the sun, I'll probably be happier. The
yes,
beaches, not my thing. So I chose Australia because one, the weather. The weather is absolutely fantastic. I can
mm,
say it anytime, any day. Australia is like me being in Maldives or some parts of Africa. It's hot, it's not so hot like the equator, like Sudan and all those Mali places, but it's very hot. At the
yeah,
same time, because it's surrounded by water, it's hot, but you still have the sea breeze coming in
mm,
to
mm,
gently cool you down. So the weather is perfect for someone that likes outdoors. I love hiking, so the weather suits me. I can't hike in the UK. Nah, it won't work. Canberra is the safest city on earth, as far as I'm
yeah.
concerned.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
cannot touch
It's
that.
also one of the safest, but it's actually been ranked as obviously having what I think it was like the second best city in the world for its quality of life, which was taken into consideration, for the schooling, the healthcare, the safety, the infrastructure. I actually look at Canberra as one of the most overlooked places,
Yes.
in my personal opinion, because
It's
it's got
safe.
so much going for it.
The weather is good because it's surrounded by mountains. So the
Yeah,
weather is good. The quality of life is good. it is green. When I mean green, outdoor activities are just everywhere. There are everywhere you go to, by the roadside, you see pedestrian, for running, for people riding their bikes. I mean, is the bike okay? Probably aside from Netherlands, Amsterdam, Canberra should be number two as the bike capital of the world.
Wow.
Yes, lots of bike lanes. Then you now talk about the mountains. You talk about the high grounds. You talk about the walkways. You can hike your life out. You can run your life out.
Yeah.
You can be hiking at 11 p.m. at night. Nobody is going to stop you. Just go there with your touch, do your stuff.
There's,
Nobody
there's
stops you. Nobody says, "Hey, where are you going to?" No, do whatever you want to do.
there's no fear either. You know,
Nah.
if you were hiking at 11 o'clock at night in somewhere like London, or we call hiking, going for a walk in London at 11 o'clock at night, you'd probably be a bit fearful.
Yeah, be careful. You will lose your phone. You will
Exactly,
lose your belongings.
at the
I mean,
least.
actually, something happened recently. I was somewhere and a couple left the guy left his wallet. I was just looking at it and I was telling myself, let me see if someone will pick this. The guy came back 15 minutes later and picked his wallet.
Wow,
It cannot
wow.
happen in any part
It's
of the
just
United
safe.
Kingdom.
No,
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 try
that
it.
would not
It's
happen.
gone.
That would not happen in probably 95% of places across the globe.
Yeah, it is
So
safe.
it's
And
wow,
it's full of
wow. So,
schools, young people. There are young people here, lots of young people. So overall, it's a boarding place for someone that has a young family, someone that is
mm,
thinking of, kind of creating or starting a new family. And if you're
mm.
someone that believes in, working hard, then come to Canberra.
If you want that, more quieter, lifestyle, but obviously being outdoors, still having obviously the best of both worlds, Canberra's beautiful. Canberra's
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's got that many different, lakes and things that
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
probably not really missing out on the beach or the
No,
sea in the first place
you're not
because
missing
there
out
are
on
actually
anything.
man-made. Yeah, there's actually man-made kind of like little like small
Yes.
beaches
Yeah.
against obviously the lakes anyway. So you've still got everything that you want, and which obviously is much better, much better.
Yeah.
And obviously, I know for yourself, you've got your family as well. So you've obviously had to take into consideration,
Yeah.
the family, and is this going to be the right thing, obviously for for your wife and things. And yeah, obviously, ultimately, I guess obviously that your decision obviously was Canberra,
Yeah.
and it sounds like it's a decision that you don't regret. You got no
Yeah.
reservations at
I
all.
mean, initially I was thinking either somewhere in Victoria or Canberra.
Yeah.
But after, kind of doing my own due diligence and the rest of them, I chose Canberra.
What's your thoughts about that kind of like the overall lifestyle in Canberra and Australia as a
Okay.
whole? The cost of living side of things. How would you compare the lifestyle and the cost of living to maybe like the UK as a
Okay.
whole?
Well, accommodation wise, Canberra is probably more expensive, a little bit more
Okay.
expensive compared to UK. Most places in UK, excluding London.
Hmm.
Then when it comes to transportation, I mean, Canberra is 10 times cheaper.
Yeah. Wow.
10 times cheaper. I mean, there
Wow.
are so many buses. I mean, kind of electric buses, all air conditioned, kind of the
Hmm.
buses turn up every 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
10, 15 minutes, non-stop, non-stop, 10,
Yeah.
15 minutes. And not only that, if you miss this one, you can get a connecting bus that will take you to somewhere. You will get another connecting bus. You're not missing any minutes. Then the trains are not really so big in Canberra, but they have a tram, couple of trams.
Oh yeah.
Trains
Yeah.
are not really so big, but it's still there.
Yeah.
Still there. Overall, transportation is very cheap. Then when it comes to bills, gas, electricity, I still think it's cheaper than
Yeah.
UK. When it comes to going out, let's say hanging out, going to clubs for people that do such, is way, way, way cheaper compared to UK.
Absolutely
Yeah.
stunning. For our listeners, if you have not obviously looked into Canberra or thought about Canberra, give it a Google now. Look at obviously the natural beauty around. It's absolutely stunning. well, on top of obviously thinking about making this move, we were thinking about obviously the locations and things and the logistical side of things. And you spoke to me about obviously the registration, and you were like, okay, so what does it involve, Thomas, to get there? Look at his eyes roll. It's what did it take to obviously get there? And just like
Okay.
you, this was one of the biggest kind of worries that obviously that people have is thinking, okay, well, how do I get my qualifications recognized?
Mhm,
What kind of support is there? How do I complete the registration process?
mhm,
So obviously, yeah, I know you had obviously a lot of, support. Obviously, and I tried to do everything that I could obviously for you. But be honest, obviously, how did you find the process? From start to finish.
Okay, so the process of registration has, for me, I will separate it into three components. The first one is
Mhm.
getting your qualifications, the ones that you got outside the UK, getting it kind of verified using
Yeah,
what we call ECFMG. I mean, a lot of doctors will know this
yeah,
ECFMG. So if you're someone that maybe you trained, you did your MBBS in another country outside the UK or Ireland or Canada or those places, you have to verify your documents.
yeah,
So that stage, so far as your school will be able to, kind of comply and send whatever ECFMG asks them to send across to them, that
yeah,
should be pretty much clean for you. Within 3 weeks, you should get it done. Though you pay
yeah.
some money, I've forgotten how much, but it's just tiny amount of money.
Mm.
Once you get that done, then you start with the whole registration into AMC, get AMC
Mhm.
registration. Then once you get the AMC registration, I think there's a pathway you will follow. At that point, you fill a form and you will stop at some point because they will need you to get APRA registration, your APRA
Yeah.
registration done. That is where your problems will start, if to an extent. To an extent. Because APRA is a little bit damn. I have not seen a body that is so painstakingly, would I use meticulous
Yes,
with the app.
yes. It's one of those things where getting through the ETFMG and the AMC side of things can be quite easy. But when you get around to obviously then going through obviously the RACGP or with APRA, that's where the GPs kind of start banging their heads a little bit. Maybe a bit like yourself, because it's that aspect where you're still working in the UK. You're still doing obviously your life in the UK, and then you've obviously trying to kind of navigate through this document, which is you're like, well, I've just answered that question, but it's now asking me that same question in a different format, and I've already given them
Yeah,
that document, but now they want obviously this document again. Do I need to provide it again, Thomas? And I guess
yeah,
obviously that's where we worked obviously very, very close together, didn't we?
yeah.
To try and
So
help you
it's
just navigate through.
It's a long-winded process, but at the end of the day, if you get through APRA, and depending on which route you are coming with, if you are coming through the expedited pathway, then it's easier for you continue with APRA and it's straightforward. APRA does everything for you for the expedited pathway. But if
To,
you are
to,
going through
to, to, to a
RSC,
degree, Shedrack. To a degree.
if you are going through RSCGP, fellowship, the specialist program pathway, that's another
Mm,
hurdle to pass through. And
yeah.
it's financially tasking. That's the other thing there. If you are going through the
Mm.
fellowship pathway, which is what I did, and yeah, it's financially tasking.
I know obviously with you, you went through the RACGP, and that's a slightly longer process. That was obviously what was available at that point when you started, which is
Mhm,
obviously why
mhm,
we were going through that process.
mhm.
And
Would I change it now? If I had the opportunity, would I change it now? No. Reason being
no,
that, look, at the end of the day, whatever you spend getting yourself into specialist program is nothing. You
no,
will make it in, let me be frank with you, make it in probably 3 weeks.
yeah, wow.
2 to 3 weeks, you'll make that money.
Wow.
So
It's good to
it's
hear
not.
that hear you say that. I tell people this, but I don't think they believe me. So it's it's good to
It's not.
to hear it from
It's
you.
overall money you spend coming over here, let's say as a single person, you'll make it in a month.
Began the time, the registration itself, from a time frame perspective. I'm just trying to think about obviously what it kind of took obviously on your side, but
Hmm.
I want to say it was just over a year, wasn't it?
Yes, it took
With
me
the
approximately
RCGP process.
16 months.
Yeah.
16 months to finish. Is because there are a couple of things. I'm working in two sites, so they had
Mm,
to accreditate, kind of certify both sides. A lot of ups and downs here and there. Get this paperwork, get that paperwork. But on average, I would say 12 to 12 to 16 months is enough if you are going through APRA RSCGP fellowship pathway. But if
yeah.
you are doing the expedited pathway, I'll probably say 9 to 12 months. You're done.
Yeah. Yeah. You bang on with that. Bang on with that. From your perspective, the registration itself, I probably know the
Mhm.
answer. And I feel like I already do know the answer, but was it kind of easier or was it harder than what you expected?
Initially, I wasn't expecting it to be easy because I've seen what the
Mhm.
Canadians are doing. Yes, I have friends. I have a couple of friends. In fact, if we were four trying to get out of UK, three of them were going to Canada. So they
Mm.
were also dragging me to come to Canada. They were dragging me seriously. So I saw what they were doing. It wasn't easy, but I didn't expect it to be that difficult with APRA. I wasn't expecting that. I thought maybe mildly difficult. You know how these registration bodies, how they think, they want to scrutinize your documents. That's okay. We want you to do that too. But APRA would demand that you get your documents notarized, signed. Then, I mean, they will now ask you again, did you notarize both pages or is it just one page? If it was just one page, you have to go back and I'm like, what's the difference? It's a sheet of paper. It has front and back. You want me to do it front and the back? I mean, what is that?
Yes. Even it being obviously the registration being harder than what you expected, but obviously same for Canada. Would you say this should turn people off, or do you think obviously this should be something that just keep going, put your faith obviously in the likes of obviously myself,
Yeah.
and you know
If you don't
go
have
from there.
anyone, if you don't have anyone here encouraging you, or maybe someone on ground to tell you what you're about to witness if you come over to Australia, especially the lifestyle, how your financial financial lifestyle will improve and the rest of them. If you don't have someone on ground that will drum it into your ears, you will feel like you are just running a football race. It's like you are running and running and running. When will this end?
Yeah.
But if you have someone there to let you know what you're about to experience, then
Mm.
it's a work. Like I said, whatever you spent, whatever you threw into the process, even if you use business class to get down to this place, in 2 months, you've made all that money, including the
Mm.
business class.
Mm.
Whatever you spent getting down here, you are making
Wow.
it back. It's an
Wow.
investment. And when you finish making it, then you will now sit down and ask yourself, okay, look, in UK, for a doctor, buying a house probably is not the easiest thing, probably
Mm.
won't be the most difficult thing. But when you get down to Australia, you will now be choosing the type of house you want to buy. You are no longer looking to get a house. You are looking to get a house that befits a doctor.
Yes.
So
Yes. I love that. I
if
absolutely
you
love that.
spend money, the headaches and the rest of them, APRA telling you do this, do that, just keep going. It will
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People always say to me, "Do I get support?" We're seeing how long do I have support for from my clinic, and I always say, "Well, it's always available." But as a UK doctor, you actually do know what you're doing from a doctor perspective because working as a GP is still the same. It's
Mhm.
actually the systems,
Yeah.
it's the technology obviously that they use
Yeah.
and the integrations,
Yeah.
and that's obviously like you say where you get obviously a lot of support from. It's good that you can actually spend time shadowing obviously the GP as well
Yeah.
in the clinic and your supervisor, and just make sure that if you do have any questions, you've kind of got that period of time, that grace period
Yeah.
to understand it and
So give yourself, I
move
would
it.
say, 3 weeks, 3 good weeks.
Mm.
Reason being that you have to, know the grocery shops, kind of know how to get the transport if you're not driving yet.
Yeah,
Probably kind of shadow someone for like 1 to 2 weeks. I did 1 week intensive shadowing,
yeah,
and I think that was it. And I did all the other paperwork. There are lots of paperwork to still do when you get into
Yeah,
the country. Yeah. So
yeah,
by the time you've done everything, it's like 3 weeks. Then you
yeah,
now start seeing patients. Now, the first rule number one, I always tell people, look, don't be in a rush to see 30 patients. I mean, of course, you can't even see 30 patients. Your first 1 week, set it at 10 to 15 patients max.
yeah, yeah.
10 to
Just ease yourself in, and that.
Yeah. Give yourself
Yeah,
time so that you don't make mistakes. Maybe you
mm,
see three, four patients in block, you give yourself like 30 minutes to catch up.
yeah,
See another three, four. It's not because
yeah.
you don't know what you're doing, it's because you need to master the systems.
Yes, yes. Earning ability where it is so much greater than the UK, isn't it? I
Yes.
know that when I've placed obviously GPs over obviously for many years, and every single one of them is very comfortably earning two three times obviously what a UK GP is making here.
Yeah.
Um, and Shedrack, how have you found maybe the billing side of things, the earnings over in Australia in comparison to the UK?
I mean, ideally, your first year in Australia, first 6 months is more like to build your patient base.
Yeah,
Once people realize that you are good in certain things, or probably you're a good doctor, which you definitely sell yourself in the way you handle patients. If they realize that you are good, initially your books might not be, kind of that field. Yes,
yeah,
some days will be better than the others, but
yeah,
you gradually, consistently build up. By the time
yes,
you get to 1 year, you will now have like full books. In
yeah,
fact, you'll be booked in advance. If you are very good, if you are very good and you have soft skills like, minor surgeries, you do a lot of skin work, you
mhm,
do injections, you do a lot of things. If you are very good in the first year, you'll probably be not of 400.
yeah,
If
yeah.
you are very good, this is for exceptional people, people that have skills, soft skills. If
Those
you don't
special
really have,
interests make a big difference, don't they? In
yes,
the earnings.
yeah. If
Yeah, they make a
if
big.
you don't if you don't have such soft skills, you'll probably be hovering around 250,
Mhm.
250-ish, 300. Yes. So if you convert that in British pounds, let's say you are just a modest GP, you're hovering 250. That's 125 plus.
Yeah.
I mean, you can count the number of GPs in UK that earn 100,000. You'll
Mm,
probably be doing 8 sections plus,
mm,
and you'll be close to burning out. There is no, I mean, there is admin work, but you can't compare it. My God, because there is private and public sector. Once
yeah.
I refer you to the private sector, that's it. It has ended there. The
Mm,
consultant will take over. He will just be writing me letters to be telling me what he's doing to you, doing for you, and be telling me if he needs my help to come in at any point, he will let me know. That's it. If I refer you to the public sector, it also ends there. There is no back and forth, back and forth, back and forth like in UK.
yeah.
We are writing, they are referring, they are sending back their referrals and telling you, oh, this, we have rejected this because of this. Or please, can you refer to this other department? No. Here is once you refer, it stays there and it moves. I only
It's just not comparable, is it? It's just not
Yes,
comparable
I
at
don't
all.
do any work at home. Once I
Yeah.
close
Wow.
my log off or close my laptop, that's it. That is
That's
the
it.
end. UK is like GMC is always at the back of your head.
Mm,
You're always thinking, oh my God, I hope I didn't miss this, I didn't miss that. And by the time you condition yourself to this kind of thoughts, you will miss things. When you are
yeah.
not thinking like that, trust me, you rarely miss things.
Yeah.
Since I've been here for the past 4 months, I've caught like three, four cancers. Three, four cancers. The patients didn't even know that they had the cancers.
Wow.
You
Wow.
you think smarter and better as a doctor when you are not under pressure.
People, as well say that they're able to fall back in love with being a GP again.
Yeah.
They're actually able to fall back in love with doing what they were trained and wanted to always do. because they
Yeah.
don't feel like they've got these restrictions. They don't feel like they've got this thing, kind of looking over them. They're
Yeah.
just able to just, work and
Yeah.
be themselves. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've gained your mental, a good mental health back, and obviously you've got this good quality of life, good people around you, and it sounds like the Australian lifestyle, the Australian sunshine is giving Shedrack a big hug and, and looking after him,
Before, you
really
see,
looking after him.
before
But
in UK, I would be thinking, what's the latest iPhone or Apple product I will be buying? That's the next thing I will be
mm,
thinking, like, kind of how to, kind of comfort yourself. But here now, do you
yes,
know, I'm looking at the quality off-grid boots to buy, quality hiking shoe. What kind of bag? I need 56 liters backpack.
yeah,
I need this. I need this. I'm looking for a tent that can withstand so miles per kilo, miles per second, kind of torrential wind.
mm, looking at
That
the best
is,
of the best.
yes, that is what we doctors should be thinking. Your hobbies, there are things that you like. If you are
Yeah,
into car racing, if you are into whatever, there are opportunities. You join clubs here. If you are into, a lot of guys are into golfing, you know,
mm.
that's your thing. I love golfing, but look, I want to be more active than swinging sticks and hitting balls and tracking the balls and going again. No, it gives you the opportunity to do that thing that will complement your life. When as you are seeing patients, you are also enjoying your life, and those things can take you to different parts of the world.
Being a doctor, you are in that top, kind of bracket, aren't you? In that top percentage of GPs in,
And
in Australia, which
yes,
you're
I
just
think they are
not
in the
in the
top
UK.
5%. I think they're in the top five
Yeah,
percent or top 1% even. No, the thing is that,
top 1%. Yeah.
yeah, I think top 1% doctors. The thing is that the banks, excuse me, are happy to give you 2 million, 3 million loan.
Mm, mm.
Let's assume you want to buy
Because
a house.
you're gonna be making it back very very comfortably. They've got no worries about are
Let's
you going to be
assume
good for this money?
you want to buy a house worth $3 million.
Yeah.
And this house probably has two swimming pools, some kind of silly features that in your dreams you couldn't have gotten it in the UK.
UK GPs obviously they've been listening to this podcast, and maybe they're still sat on the fence.
Mhm.
What would what advice what kind of advice would you give them today?
I mean, if this person, I will split this advice into two. If this person is an IMG, remember how you left your country, hoping and praying that things work out well for you in the UK. I am telling you, UK just helped you to stabilize. If you remember what you were thinking those days, just think about having that future you've always dreamt of when you are thinking of making this move. The beginning parts may not be so easy or rosy, but trust me, at the end of the day, Australia need doctors. Even if you go to Darwin, Northern Territory, bro, your standard of living will be better than wherever you are in the UK. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
no two ways about it. Then, if you're a British graduate, well, I mean, you've always lived in the UK, you know how the weather is. Don't you want to live in a paradise? It's very far from home. For lots of doctors have made UK their home. They have families, especially the British graduates. Most of them have their father, mother, siblings, and the rest of them in UK. It's a little bit
Mm,
difficult leaving your family,
yeah,
behind and traveling thousands of kilometers to Australia. But in life, you only live once. Yeah,
you
you only
certainly
live
do.
once. There are
You
some
certainly
people
do.
leaving medicine. They are not leaving medicine because they want to leave. They are leaving medicine because of three reasons. Either they are tired, they can't see themselves doing it again, or a better
Mm,
opportunity came up, or they are cashing out in another thing. So you can still practice medicine, go to the beach the same day, still hike, end up going for a barbecue with your friends or cookouts, all in one day. All in one day. You can never do that in UK. I
No,
can guarantee you that.
no.
You can never.
It's, I think long and short, what Shedrack's saying is just make the move, just do it, take that leap of faith, and
Right.
I know that you certainly don't regret it, and I know obviously that other GPs that make the move won't be regretting it either.
You will never regret it. I mean, I see people saying, I don't know, I don't know. No, no. You know, deep down within yourself that, look, you're fed up. You see, you go to
Mm,
Reddit, you go to Facebook, you go to multiple places, you see GPs complaining, oh, I mean, the
mm,
workload is too much. Bro, why are you still there if the workload is too much?
yeah,
Why haven't you made that move?
yeah. And I think everything that you said, Shadrach, has been really, really, really valuable, and I think our listeners are really going to benefit from hearing this podcast. So, thank you so much for sharing obviously your experience and sharing obviously these words of wisdom for our listeners. I'm sure that, like I say, that they're all going to find this really, really useful. And as I said, obviously at the start of this podcast, this was not a sales pitch. We didn't tell Shadrach
Huh?
what to say. He quite literally jumped on here and has just been very open and very honest. And it's been incredibly reassuring and helpful for these UK GPs that are obviously making this transition.
Thank you so much. I mean, you did more than, more than we talked about here today. So I really appreciate you. Kind of, you are that type of guy that even if you don't know how to get around things, you can easily, kind of ask around, seek help, direct the person, which is what we need.
Mm.
Nobody knows it all, but your hard work, the way you carry people through the process is what matters. Because at the end of the day, there are so many agencies out there. The most important thing is the ones that will direct you during the process, that will carry you through during the process, and at the same time refer you to, kind of employers that have good personalities and good, personal human relationship actually. People that
Yeah.
will nurture you, see you grow. They want you to grow, and at the same time they will grow, because there are two different things in this Australia. You can get in here, you probably will not have any patient base for 1 year. I've seen people changing practices.
Hmm.
It's not all
Yeah.
rosy. It's easy for me to sit down here and say, oh, you build your patient base and the rest of them. Yes, it's happening to me because I am in the right place.
Yeah. Shedrack, it's been a pleasure to have you obviously on this podcast. Thank you very, very, very much. And obviously, thank you to our listeners for tuning in. So stay tuned. There will be more episodes to come and other great guests, obviously, such as Shedrack. Even maybe later on down the line, we'll have him on and have his experience, obviously, from further down the line. So who knows?
Absolutely.
Who knows? But Shedrack,
Absolutely.
thank you very much.
And thank you. Have a good night
Bye
or
for
a good
now.
day.